Earlier in the week, we talked about probably the story that broke the camel's back in terms of Trump's deportation, probably also Trump's disappearing act on people, making people disappear that he does not agree with. Mahmoud Khalil, please tell me if I've said that incorrectly. So he was the first high-profile case which was detained by ICE under Trump's orders about getting rid of illegal immigrants and supposedly alleged criminals or gang members. I don't know. I don't know what basis he had legally to actually, no, it was he was a Hamas apologizer or sympathizer or something like that.
Well, yeah, I
He
believe
used
he
that.
was. Wasn't he the one who was related to some of the student protests as well that
Yes.
happened
So back
in Palestine?
must have been a year ago
Yeah.
or more. He was leading the protest on campus, on Columbia
Yes.
campus. It was quite a high profile thing. There was, I think the police ended up getting involved because they were doing a sit in. Essentially, they were on campus ground and disrupting and things like that. Understandably, because they were trying to get their voices heard regarding the atrocities that were happening over in Israel and Gaza. Well, in Gaza,
Although
really.
those police went in and disrupted peaceful protesting students on their own campus, which was super fucked and
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. And it's just getting worse for anyone who gives a shit about Palestine in their country.
Yeah. So he was, Khalil was targeted by ICE. And when he said, I have a green card, so you can't deport me, they just detained him. And then he disappeared. And they
Yep.
didn't know where he went. And I think he's ended up in Louisiana over his free speech, his freedom to speak and peacefully protest against what's happening overseas and the lack of response that the administration was having towards the crisis and supporting Israel in order to bomb the shit out of the country. Which is some pretty awful shit. Speaking of, there were 200 people or more that were now have been killed this week by Israel when they broke the ceasefire and bombed some areas. So it's still going on.
Yeah.
Still going on. To continue coming back to the States, essentially that was the biggest story that really broke this week. But since then, it's been a flurry of foreigners now coming into the country from all over the globe, not just from brown countries. Well, don't even need to put quotes around that. From brown countries, let's be honest. The Central American and South American countries, particularly, the Mexicans, as he likes to put it. Now we're getting people from Germany and France. I think the French was a science academic, I think, in the most recent case that I've heard about. Detained, well, he was randomly chosen and interrogated by border police, and they looked through his phone and his personal devices where he had expressed his disagreement towards the Trump administration cutting funding for science. And that was enough for them to say, this guy is anti-Trump, this guy is anti-administration, he's anti-America, whatever it is, to put him through some pretty harrowing shit. Essentially, that has prompted, I think it was the German Prime Minister, some high-profile person from Germany, could have been a minister of foreign affairs or something. He was essentially saying that we're raising the warning status, essentially, of what is it called? The safety ratings of each country, how safe is it to fly to this country. He's essentially said that any citizens of Germany, you should really, really consider whether or not it's safe to go to the US at the moment, considering that it's not just brown people from brown countries that are being targeted. It is now the West, well, now European countries as well. So
white people aren't safe either now, guys.
It's equal.
We finally get equality! Equal shit.
Equality.
Well,
Equality
America
is
gets
finally
equality.
being
Right? Like, it's just, well, because actually someone
yeah.
mentioned it in the chat, because I don't know if you saw, but David Farrier wrote about his fears given
Mm,
the targeting of anyone who speaks even slightly positively about any minority, pretty much at this point, given the current fucking lot over there just hate anyone that isn't a
yeah.
rich white person. But, and like, it's scary that, like, there are people who just literally be like, the fact that AOC is posting the government is literally disappearing people. Like, this is crazy. It's just, I mean, actually, there was a comment. It's just that this is getting full Nazi style. Like, and it really is. Which is also why I wanted us to look at the video that we looked at just before, because we need to not just learn, but actually try to do better than what they did in the past.
Um, Continuing on with the deportations. So there was a plane that was being sent to El Salvador with a bunch of suspected gang members, essentially a bunch of people that just they'd round up, chucked on a plane and said, "You're going to El Salvador." Not a very particularly nice country towards its people, as far as I'm aware. Um, Anyways, they rounded up a bunch of people, set them on a plane, and without any real evidence that they were criminals or gang members of any sorts.
Mm,
Um, and this is where it gets very scary, where we have officially, as far as most people have said, we have well and truly passed the line. And that is that the law no longer seems to be fucking working. So a judge tried to, in his, authority as a federal judge, tried to stop the plane from going, even though it was in midair. It said, "Turn it around. This is not even unconstitutional. It's incorrect. It is not within the law to deport these people when they haven't actually had a fair trial, or not even just detain them, just completely
yeah.
get them on a plane and get them gone. Like that
Oh,
is
absolutely.
just horrific." So judge demands answers from the White House on deportation flights to El Salvador. As far as I understand, there was some bullshit about you wrote it down, so it was too late. We didn't agree with it. Basically, the judge tried to, in his legal capacity, stop the plane from going, follow procedure, and tell them to turn it around. But they didn't.
Yeah.
So they ignored a federal judge's orders, which shows that now the Trump administration is essentially beyond the law, and the judicial system is not working in America. That they can shoo things away or say, "Oh, it wasn't." In a written order, Boasberg called Trump's officials' latest response woefully insufficient. The judge said the administration again evaded its obligations by merely repeating the same general information about the flights. He ordered the administration to show cause as to why it didn't follow his court order to turn around the planes, increasing the prospect that he may consider holding administration officials to contempt in court. The Justice Department had said the judge's it was the other way around. Judge's verbal directions did not count, that only his written order needed to be followed, and that it couldn't apply to flights that had already left the US. The Department of Justice spokesperson said Thursday that it continues to believe that the court's superfluous questioning of sensitive national security information is inappropriate judicial overreach. So so essentially, he was saying we don't need to listen to you because these people, if we told you why, or if we didn't keep them here, if we kept them here, or whatever, they would, if we let you know why they're detained, it would harm state secrets or whatever. The administration resisted the judge's request, calling it an unnecessary judicial fishing expedition. So it's some scary shit that there's basically no one that can stop this stuff. And probably the sickest thing that came out of this was a tweet that was circling around. Oopsie, too late. essentially someone please, I can't think of who it is that retweeted this. I think it was Mark Rubio. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Someone in the administration retweeted this tweet, as far as I'm aware. But essentially, it was a tweet showing the headline: "Fed judge orders deportation flights carrying alleged Venezuelan gangbangers." Gangbangers? Okay. Yep, okay. To return to US blocks Trump from invoking Alien Enemies Act, and then essentially someone said, "Oopsie, too late." And I
Yikes.
believe it was someone in the with a crying emoji, a crying laughing emoji, which is disgusting. Someone in Trump's administration, little Marco Rubio,
Yeah.
retweeted it.
Of course he fucking did. He's an asshole. No one's surprised.
So it's a big game to these guys. Like they don't give a shit about
Nah.
people. They don't care about process. They don't care about even trying to look like they're doing things correctly at this point. They're not
Why
even
would
bothering
they?
with law changes to what were you saying before about transgender rights? They don't even care
Yeah.
about that anymore. They're just doing it now.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's also a lot of trans people who are also now worried about trying to travel anywhere else because of fucking what they've been doing with that. And it's just, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just not surprising. I guess it feels like we spent so many years going, don't do this again. All of last year going, please, for the love of God, don't do this again. Like it feels like, you know, that Bob's Burger meme where it's like Tina is in the car and she's driving really slow, and Bob's like, Tina, and she's just slowly about to hit the thing. It just felt like that. That we've just been watching the most painstaking, just absolute self-sabotage.
Yeah. But there is something we can do about it. Before I go onto that train, just to fix up what I was saying before, because I was trying to find it. It was President Nayib Bukele who tweeted that. Oopsie, too late. And it doesn't look like I can see it here today. Saying, no, I can't see it. Who retweeted it? But either which way, it's pretty gross that you got the president of El Salvador going, oops, too late.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Hitler, you know, setting up camps and gassing people. Oh,
Oops, too late.
Too late. Can't do
Put them on the
anything
train
now.
already. Sorry. Like I know there was another that's happened to at least a few people, because there was a woman who it happened to where she got detained. They were in the middle of trying to get, you know, information to try to stop it, and yep, she was gone. It's just, yeah, it's dystopian, but it's real, and that's the worst part.
Yeah, the only way I can see that we can do anything here in New Zealand is that we have to vote. We have to make our voices heard. Gary had said a great thing is that go and piss off your local electorate office. You know, wherever those people are, your Epsom peeps, if you can get to the David Seymour's Epsom office, disrupt their ability to make money, disrupt their ability to continue to do corrupt shit, or even just bullshit to our social services. That is the best way that we can make our voices heard. Just make their job really fucking hard. And vote. Vote in your local elections. Vote
I feel like we've got to add
election.
on, though, is that you got to vote, but you also have to teach the people around you how to vote. I accidentally unstarted earlier, but I saw a comment from someone talking about how they've, you know, taught their daughter how to understand voting. I think that is probably also key, is because we don't know, like, we all vote. Everybody who watches this, I'm very certain they all vote. It's us now needing to MLM style. I want all of you to go recruit a bunch of people and teach them how to vote and about politics. And then those people can teach a bunch of other people. And this is the pyramid scheme we should be building. is how to understand these politics and how they're affecting us, because it feels like for a long time a lot of the populace hasn't really understood how to participate in politics. So now we actually need to make sure we can all do that, because politics is a tool for us, but we all need to be using the tool together, because we have to have that collective power versus their insane piles of money like they're fucking dragons. Like, that is a really crucial step that we have to make sure that we have to annoy our family members, our friends, and be like, look, you need to be political. You need to care about some of this shit, because whether you fuck with politics, it'll fuck with you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's all I think is just the other half to what you were saying. It's just vote, but also educate. Send them to
Yeah.
here. Send them wherever. Gary's economics.
No, that's some woke economics. Woke economics doesn't make any sense.
Right.
The other thing to that is, I think we actually, as much as we are progressives, and well, I would say the most part of us, we're very much progressives, and we definitely criticize Labor for not going far enough when it comes to policy. I'd love to see that they don't take such a centrist point of view, but I totally understand why Chippy is saying he doesn't want to scare off those people that he could pull from the right. But at the same time, we as progressives need to, those of us who don't think they're doing a good enough job or they're not progressive enough in their policies, it's Labor and Chris Hipkins, hopefully soon to be government, is that we need to not just criticize them, because if we criticize them for not being good enough, the other side wins. If we say Chippy's not good enough, if they're not going to vote Labor, they sure as hell ain't going to vote Greens. So you need to bring them over to the Labor side. If they are someone who is sitting in that awkward middle, centrist, whatever, flip-floppers, national Labor, depending on who's in power, you need to say to them, Labor is the better vote.
Yeah.
Or don't vote at all.
Or don't even say that it's better for them. Just show them some of the things, whether it's stuff you see. Just give them, even don't say they're better. Just be like, oh, have you seen this? This is really interesting. And just casually drop it in.
Yeah.
Plant a seed.
I mean, there are different strokes for different folks. You know the people around you. So you know how to, those of you who know the people around you know how to go about it to try and get them. But I think what we need to do is not criticize them to the point where people don't think that even they're good enough. Because if they see us who are progressive left or whatever, or we lean on the left side of things, if they see us criticizing the left, what confidence do they have in voting on that side, right? So we have to be their biggest, even if we don't 100% agree with the policies and they're not going far enough, we need to be their biggest fangirls and fanboys, right? And fan NBs.
Fan people.
Fan people. Because it's like we're an MMP system. You personally, you may be able to get someone over to the Labor side, right? You might be able to get someone slightly shifting to the left. Fantastic. But we as progressives are gonna vote Green for the most part, Party Māori, right? Those are our best options currently in government. If we don't think Labor's good enough, and we're an MMP system, which means the more votes that go to Green and party system are also more votes to the left, right? Ultimately, they're going to have more power in government. It could be a 50-50 split between Greens and Labor. I highly doubt that. But it means that Greens have more power. But ultimately, a vote for Greens is a vote for the left. But for those in the weird middle, get them voting Labor.
Absolutely.
PSA.
Let's recruit for Labor and drive up votes for Greens and Party Māori.
Yeah, just get people voting.
Yeah.
On the left.
Right. Also, I was laughing in the middle because Peter signed just OnlyFans for Labor. I also agree with this point that there needs to be a more radical left party. So then that way we can just... So if you want to start a crazy radical left party that'll make everyone else look like they're more centrist and more safe, that's kind of cool.
That's a good point. It's a really good point that Rogers has just made there. That I guess I never thought about that, but Labor having a lot more radical. More progressive policies may make Greens look a little less crazy, you know? Because
Yeah.
that's
Well,
that's
it's
that's people's criticism,
perspective.
right?
Yeah, it's just perspective. Like a lot of the times, like, if you just looked at, say, even the ACT Party with just a small, tiny lens, there's parts that actually sound reasonable and quite
Mm.
agreeable. It's when you start to look a bit further out that the picture gets really weird.